So Wesley Matthews makes 3-pointers and he does this archery thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever watched his actual form for archery?
I suppose I haven't. Is it bad?
Well, like a really important, I'm not even a good archer, by the way. Like I'm not even sure archer is a word.
I was going to say, like, have you, what,
You know,
this
it's
is something you've done?
You know what's funny is actually Jen's pretty good at it. Like Jen had like a bow growing up, and she used to go and shoot arrows. One thing that I noticed Wesley Matthews does, and then Anthony Davis was doing it to Wesley Matthews from the bench today, is it's tough to show this in a audio medium, but I'm going to try anyway. So let's say you're gripping the bow. These guys are all right-handed. They're gripping the bow itself with their left hand, right? And they're pulling it back with their right, or vice versa, however you want to do it, right? So your bow hand is gripping it. Let's say so for me, I'm left-handed. So my bow hand would be my right, and I'm pulling the arrow back with my left, right? And when you release this hand, right? You release the arrow hand, but they're releasing their front hand, which means the bow is just falling to the ground, and who knows where this arrow is going at this point. So again, it's a stupid thing that I've noticed over the course of the year, but whoever is doing these bow impersonations or whatever, release the one hand. You're good. It's the same idea. You get.
I have to look for this now.
Yeah. Can you do like a one play or a one shot video?
A one play, one story on that? On Wes Matthews, despite having this celebration for at least a decade, is actually doing it wrong.
He's been doing it wrong this whole time.
It's so funny because seeing Chris Paul go fool, and I mean fool, can I speak to your manager at the end of that game was incredible. Like, we've seen it at various points of his career, but this is game 7, playoff life on the line. Probably the most he's enjoyed playing with the team in a while. Just really like, you know what Chris Paul reminds me of is when you're playing like Monopoly or a board game with somebody and you have house rules and they're just like, that's not how you play it. Play by the book.
Yeah.
Scott Foster played with house rules, I think. And
Scott Foster's always playing with house rules.
I think I mean, I've always felt a certain type of way about Scott Foster, but this tweet from Mark Spears, that is a quote from Chris Paul. I'm going to read it because every time I read it, it gets more and more unreal. Mark Spears tweeted, Thunder guard Chris Paul says referee Scott Foster made a point to tell him before the Game 7 loss to the Thunder tonight that he also refed his Game 7 loss to the Spurs in 2008 when CP was with the Hornets. And tweet, why in God's name would a ref tell a player that before a game unless he was confident that he was going to influence the result again?
It's the level of disbelief that, yeah, you just kind of chuckle at. It's just funny. Like, I was just laughing that fourth quarter because, like, oh man, if I'm a Houston fan, I would feel horrible just because, like, Rondo's the one beating you in the fourth quarter. Like, if it's LeBron or AD, like, fine. Like, those guys are superstars.
It's like if Austin Rivers did it to the Lakers.
Oh man, that'd be brutal.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to think about that. But yeah, I mean, I can't. Again, 30 minutes is just so much for Rajon Rondo, but he earned it tonight. Like, I have no critique of it. I don't even know if he sat in the fourth quarter. It felt like he played all that fourth quarter. But that lineup in the fourth quarter, and Rondo was a huge part of it. Just, I mean, Rondo's shot making in the fourth quarter won us the game. He hit those couple threes, that couple layups. Like, he won us that game in the fourth quarter just with his scoring. And that's just insane.
Say that again. Like, when you say it out loud, Rondo won us the game with his scoring.
He did. He hit 2 huge threes. He hit a huge three in the third quarter, I think, as well. He had a couple layups there that were just, breakaway layups, but those count. Like you said, we know what LeBron and AD are going to give you, but to get 21 from Rondo and 9 assists, that's over 40 points generated from one guy in Rajon Rondo. When you add those up, like, that's enormous.
team. Right now, I feel really great about this team. Thank you, Rajon Rondo. You asked what we were going to podcast about today, and I suggested a 40-minute long apology to Rajon Rondo. I will eat all of the crow on him. Every annoying game the last 2 seasons has been worth it with these last 2 games, because it has been that 3-pointer he hit where he kind of sidestepped as the shot clock was running out, and there was this huge arching rainbow shot. I just cackled when that went in. Like, if that's going in, like that, it's our night. Like, there's no stopping. We have the basketball gods on our side. Playoff Rondo is a force that nobody has seen before, at least in a couple of years. And to quote a friend of mine, people forgot Rondo was a bucket.
It was not a good Rondo game, not a good Kuzma game. I believe you tweeted on Twitter that we were not getting playoff Rondo or bubble Kuz.
Yeah.
Both problems. But Rondo had been super sloppy for most of this game. I don't know what he was doing threading some of these passes. He, of course, in classic Rondo fashion, hit a ridiculous step back 3, but then could not hit a wide open corner 3 that was perfectly in the rhythm of the offense, because that would not be in the vogue of Rajon Rondo. But yeah, perfectly executed inbounds pass. That's why you bring him in instead of Caruso in that situation, because you need something pinpoint. And he rose to the occasion. And then, of course, his dear friend from New Orleans, Anthony Davis, hits the game winner in what I believe was the same spot as the last game pre-hiatus, when Anthony Davis had a chance to hit the game winner against Brooklyn but missed it. This one he did not miss. He said he didn't want to lose in the Mamba jerseys. And I'm one of those people who thinks that Kobe has been brought up a little too much in this postseason run. But the act of being outplayed by your opponent and then just coming up with some miracle nonsense at the end, it's kind of a very fitting tribute to Kobe Bryant, especially when you think about it's been 10 years since the Lakers made the conference finals. In that 2009-2010 season, this is all Kobe did all year. It's just game winners after game winners when the Lakers didn't have it. And I really felt that when Anthony Davis hit that shot. I remembered Kobe hitting a 3-pointer against Sacramento from a very similar spot to win a game that season. That's what it reminded me of more than 80 shot against Brooklyn, which it probably shouldn't, because 10 years ago, entirely different situation. But I'm so glad we didn't lose in these jerseys. I really am.
All I want to see from Danny Green and even Kyle Kuzma is, like, give me a confident shot. Give me a confident stroke. Like, that's all I want, is just show some confidence from 3-point range. And to this point, Kuzma, I kind of understand. This is his first time here. He's always been a streaky guy. Danny Green, what the hell are you being paid to do, bud? What are you here for?
Yeah, man.
It's like the Office Space movement. So what exactly is it that you do here? You know, it's Danny Green. I mean, maybe we'll get an explanation in a podcast, but to this point, that's about all he's provided thus far. Has been pretty good podcasting.
Look, he's been better than people have given him credit for. I think a lot of times this year, like, I think he's done a lot of thankless work on defense during this entire playoff run. He was really bad tonight. And like, he's just got to be better. Like, he's got to give them something, you know, like, if he's not going to hit shots, he's got to give them defense, or like he's got to make some type of positive impact, or, you know, he's going to be on the bench. Like when they were closing this game out, and like, he's the 3rd highest paid player. He's sitting on the bench as they're closing out like a playoff game. Like, this was the time of year that when he was doing that during the regular season, it's like, they're self-load managing him. They're saving him for the playoffs. Like, he has another gear that he can hit. Like, I want to see it. You know,
Anthony Davis, not known as a trash talker, just not. Yesterday makes a shot, looks over the bench and starts yelling at the Nuggets bench. Like, that's something that you don't really see. So I think the Lakers team, it's obvious too that they get along. And that's, from what we've seen with the Clippers, that's obviously very important. They have likable characters. They have a great style of play, and they all get along. Like, this is just if you're not a Laker fan, I can see why you hate them.
And they play hard. I think that's the most important. Like, obviously they really like each other. I think that always comes across when you watch them play, just from the bench interactions to how there's been little drama in terms of who plays, who doesn't play. Like you mentioned Dwight, he didn't play really at all in the Houston series, right? And then game 1 he's asked to play, and he's ready. Like, he's already energetic, he's passionate, he's already bringing it, like, without a blink of an eye. And I don't know how much of that has to do with just an understanding from the coaching staff to the players that you have to stay ready and a trust in your teammates that if I'm not playing, they're going to play well. And when it's my time, I'm going to play hard. And I don't think that's common for every team. I think that's a big reason why the Lakers are here. Like, just adding stars doesn't work. Like, we saw that with the Clippers. They added 2 bona fide stars to a team that was already good, to a team that a lot of people would say are way deeper than the Lakers, and have said that. But that chemistry wasn't there. They didn't have the same energy. They didn't care as much as the Lakers did. So I think these kind of like off the court things do matter, and I think that shows with kind of the teams who are kind of still remaining in the playoffs.
I find myself pretty frustrated at tonight's effort, like the effort that went into the game. You know, they just and
That's how I feel.
Yeah, like I don't even like that's it. Hashtag analysis.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm annoyed at the way that the Lakers approach this game and the way that they just kind of played with their food here, and that's still, by the way, secondary to just marveling at what it was that Jimmy Butler, and like that's where I freaking love Jimmy Butler. You know, like just the no nonsense. Yeah, we don't have Bam. Yeah, we don't have Goran. Yeah, we are way down in terms of just sheer talent against this team. Sure, the second best player on this team is Tyler Hero, a rookie. Yeah, the third best player on this team is either Duncan Robinson, also a rookie, or Jay Crowder, who is not the third best player on most finals teams. But who gives a shit? I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to drive my head into the brick wall that is Anthony Davis or Dwight Howard or LeBron James time and time again to get to the free throw line to make those guys as uncomfortable as possible. And I'm going to win a game that we have no business whatsoever winning. And for the Lakers, if they had the same attitude that Jimmy Butler had going into this game, as the favorite here, the Lakers would have won this series in 4 games with an average margin of victory of 30 points.